Hello students, here we are again. By now, with respect to health and diseases, we are through with two sets in which, just to recapitulate, we talked about what actual type of disease is, what disease is, what are the different causative agents of the disease, whether bacteria, protozoa, fungi. And then we also talked about the mode of transmission, that how, if the disease is infectious disease, it gets transmitted from an infected person to a healthy person. And today, in the last session again, we are going to discuss some of the questions which have every now and then appeared or come in the previous year exams questions, whether it's tier 1 or it's tier 2. So these questions, with a hope that they will help you recapitulate what you have learned, what you know, and will add into wherever you realize that you don't know, where there is a void, where there is a lacuna or a space left in your learning, they may help you to fill up that space. So let's starting with the questions. First, which one of the following diseases of milching animals are infectious? Milching means, first thing you need to know is milching. Animals that yield us milk are the animals that we call as milching animals. Whereas the animals that do not give or provide us any milk are called drought. So milching animals, that includes like cow, buffalo, goats, she-camel, she-reindeer, etc. The disease of foot and mouth disease, which is a fungal infection, anthrax, black quarter, or cowpox. Cowpox is naturally the one through which the Edward Jenner discovered the vaccine for smallpox. Foot and mouth is the another one, because anthrax is the one that is used as a bioweapon. These days in the modern warfare, we use chemical warfare, and in chemical warfare and bio warfare, we use the anthrax, the bacterium for anthrax, to be the responsible for threatening the survival of the life of other animals or humans. So the correct option here is first and 4, that foot and mouth disease, which is FMD. FMD virus. We realize we did Coxsackie virus or Coxley virus is the one that's the causative agent for foot and mouth disease, and cowpox, which is a smallpox, which is caused by varicella zoster. These are the ones. Next, pneumoconiosis. Pneumoconiosis, if you remember, is one of the occupational disease. Occupational disease, the disease which is caused or through which a person gets infected because of his occupation, because of the work that he is involved in to earn his bread and butter for himself and family. And the pneumoconiosis is the one which mostly happens in the workers engaged in tanneries, that is making the leather, coal mining industries, digging out the coal, distilleries means making alcohol, or in glass industry making the glasses. Now, pneumoconiosis is the one which is caused by to the workers mostly working in the glass industry or in asbestos. because asbestos causes asbestosis, which both are because of the accumulation of sand, silica, silicon dioxide, and the major source is quartz. So glass industry is the correct option for the workers working in the glass industry to get infected with or suffer it. Next, ergotism is caused due to consumption of. Ergotism is the one that is caused because of the growth of the asparagus, and then contaminated grains, rotting vegetables, contaminated water, safe cooked food. Naturally, safe cooked food is out. Nothing can be transmitted with the safely cooked food. So, is it contaminated grains, rotting vegetables, or contaminated water? It is rotting vegetables, because the decay of the vegetables and vegetable products allows the growth of the asparagus, one of the fungi that leads to the ergotism. Next, match list 1. Here are the items given in the list 1 with the items given in the list 2 and select the correct answer using the code given below. It's a sort of a repeat of the question and done intentionally to record, to just make sure that you know what you have already gone through. Malaria. Malaria is caused by what? It is caused by protozoa. So can be the first or second. Poliomyelitis is caused by virus, which is 3. So again it can be first and second, A or B. Tuberculosis is caused by bacteria. So it is the one, A, which is the correct option, because ringworm is a disease caused by a fungi, and the name of the fungi is Taenia. Taenia species is the one which causes the ringworm, whether it's the head or it's the mustache or it's the groin region where you see the patches of the ringworm developing. So with the A option to be the correct one. Next, consider the following statements. Meningococcal meningitis. Meningitis means it's a disease which in layman's language is called brain fever. In which the fluid inside our nervous system, that is the brain and the spinal cord, that what we call as cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, get infected with the bacteria, meningococcal meningitis. It's transmitted from one person to another by mosquito like malaria, that it is being transmitted. The mode of transmission is vector. Vomiting and neck pain are two of the symptoms of the meningococcal meningitis. That vomiting, once the person gets infected with the disease, starts vomiting and complains of the neck pain. Now, actually, if we look at which of the statement given above is correct, only the second statement is the correct statement. Because meningitis is an infectious disease mostly caused by air. And one of the major symptoms, the initial symptom of the disease, is the pain in neck. Because once the person gets infected, within 3 days or 4 days of the infection, a person suffers from a very high fever along with a pain in neck. And if the fever is high and the patient complains of the pain, severe pain in the neck region, then it's better to take the infected person to the doctor at the earliest possible, because meningitis in itself, if not treated early, can be fatal, can be deadly. So in this case, vomiting and neck pain are the two symptoms of the meningococcal meningitis, that is the brain fever. Next, match list 1, that is the items in list 1 with the items in list 2, and select the correct answer using the codes given below. Quinine. Now, it's a medicinal product and that's the source. Where do we get the quinine from? The source of the quinine is cinchona bar. So, it can be either A or C. Morphine. Morphine, where do we get the morphine from? Morphine we get from the poppy plant. That is the opium plant. Penicillin we get from fungus. So again, 3, this is 3, morphine is 1, penicillin is 4. And then tetracycline, 2 is the bacterium. So 3142, 3142, C is the correct option. Right? Now in questions like this, if you are sure of 2 or 3, then that can direct you to the correct answer, because you just check. When the first one you know, match it. That means the first option in the given options carrying your selected answer would be the possible answer. Then you shift to the second, then you shift to the third. Let's say fourth you don't know. Naturally for the fourth you get the answer and you get the correct option. So that's the elimination sort of the questions that we are trick in the application questions, because all these multiple choice questions are mostly the application based question, because they are talking about your conceptual knowledge but multiple conceptual knowledge. Next, which of the following disease is not caused by a virus? That means we have learned about the virus causative agent, and here is a list of the 4 diseases. Which of these is not caused by virus? Cholera. Cholera is the correct answer, because cholera is caused by bacteria called Vibrio cholerae. Smallpox or chickenpox, hepatitis, measles. For measles, you know, it's a viral disease. We take triple M vaccines. Hepatitis again, A, B, C, D, all these are the viral ones. Chickenpox along with the smallpox is a viral disease. Next, which of the following diseases are waterborne? That means disease is waterborne, means born in water. That means transmitted by water. Or contaminated food, like drinking the water of Golgappa, etc., those sort of things. If the disease is transmitted through them, what the disease is called waterborne disease. Now here's a list. It says typhoid, hepatitis B, tuberculosis, hepatitis A. Now hepatitis B is not, because it's a viral disease that is caused because of the transmission of the seminal fluid, like AIDS, HIV. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that passes by air. So what are we left with? We are left with the first and 4. First and 4, the C is the correct option, because typhoid, cholera and jaundice are 3 major waterborne diseases. 3 major waterborne diseases are cholera, typhoid and jaundice. Whereas tuberculosis is one of the most dangerous of the disease, an airborne disease. Next, who discovered the polio vaccine? You know, for a treatment of the disease caused by viruses, because polio is a viral disease, it's caused by a virus, poliovirus or enterovirus. We can't use antibiotics because antibiotics cannot be produced. I repeat, antibiotics cannot be produced for the viral diseases, as viruses cannot be cultured outside the medium. They can multiply, they can just act or behave as living only when inside the living cell. Outside in the culture medium, they cannot survive, and therefore we cannot prepare medicines for them. For viral disease, we use vaccines, either to provide protection to the body or to fight with the germs in one way or other. And this polio vaccine, which is the basic cause of the infantile paralysis. Infantile paralysis means a child is born normal, but then after being infected with the polio, he suffers from paralysis, and then either his legs or hands or both get deformed. And the vaccine for that was produced by Louis Pasteur, Contagious, Ale Witness, or John Salk. The answer is John Salk. John Salk produced the polio vaccine, but then later he combined with Sabine. John Salk and Sabine, they together produced what we call as polio drop. Vaccine is given using injections, while polio drops are the drops that are just given like water drops to a small child. But polio drops or polio vaccines are equally effective against polio. So when it comes to vaccine, it is the John Salk, and if it is polio drops, then it was John Salk and Sabine who discovered the polio drops. Next, which one of the following diseases caused through the wound or injury or surface of unsterilized surgical instrument? That means here is a list of diseases. One of these caused because of open wounds or open cuts, or particularly if the cut has got contaminated with the soil, or using the instruments that are exposed to the air now or soil. The disease is tetanus. Tetanus, the disease a person gets infected with if the wound or cuts get exposed to the soil, particularly air or soil. And therefore, within few hours, that is maximum 24 hours, if a person has suffered from an injury, he is given an ATS injection. ATS, that stands for anti-tetanus serum. That means he is given an injection of serum containing the anti-tetanus factors, which do not allow the bacteria Clostridium tetani, because the tetanus is caused by bacteria called Clostridium tetani. By Clostridium tetani. The ATS does not allow this bacteria to grow and multiply, and hence the person is protected from getting infected with the tetanus, because tetanus is also called as lockjaw disease. That means the jaw, the lower jaw, becomes immobile. He has got a problem in opening the jaw, and if the patient tries to open the jaw, he experiences a lot of pain, and so he avoids opening the jaw, and hence it is also called lockjaw disease. Next, assertion. Now this is another class of the question that you can expect of, that you are given a statement, then you are given the possible reason given, that is the reason, and assertion. They may match or they may not match, they may be true but not related to each other. There are different options as stated here. Assertion A, syphilis can be prevented by vaccination. Syphilis is an STD. That is sexually transmitted disease caused by bacteria called Palladium Palladium treponema. Right now, as syphilis is a sexually transmitted disease, that means it occurs when a person or a couple get involved in unprotected sex, and one of the two is infected with the disease. So it can be prevented by the use of vaccination. Is the assertion. Vaccination triggers the production of antibodies in the body. That once the vaccine is there, it boosts or it improves or increases the production of antibodies in the body. Now, both A and B, R are correctly individually true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Is it so? No. Because there is no vaccination known so far for syphilis. Both A and R are true. No, that's not, because A is incorrect. A is true, R is false, again incorrect, because A is incorrect statement. And hence, A is false and R is true. D is the correct option, because vaccination, when injected to a person, boosts the production of antibodies inside the body against a particular disease, providing protection to the infected person or the healthy person against the germs of that disease. That's why you know that these days a child, as soon as a child is born, he is put on a course of vaccination for DPT, for TB, etc. The basic idea for polio, the basic idea is to protect the child from suffering from the diseases associated with the vaccines like diphtheria, tetanus, pernicious, tuberculosis, BCG vaccination for tuberculosis, polio drops for polio, DPT for diphtheria, pernicious, and tetanus, right? Rubella for mumps and measles, part of the disease. Next, which is breakbone fever most commonly known as? Typhoid, rhinitis, yellow fever, dengue. Yellow fever is the one Asians do not suffer. The disease is prevalent in Africa only. Rhinitis is running nose. Sometimes in the changing weather conditions, you realize the water keeps dripping down from your nose. That condition is the rhinitis, caused by a common virus called rhinovirus. Typhoid is the one in which the person suffers from pain, etc. But there is no pain in the joints. So we are left with the dengue fever. Dengue, there are two forms of dengue. One is called classical and other is called hemorrhagic. Classical, in which there is only a pain, and if treatment is given in time, the disease gets treated. Hemorrhagic is the one in which the bleeding starts from the body part and the number of the blood platelets starts falling very quickly. And hemorrhagic dengue can be deadly, but not the classical one. Classical one can be easily treated these days. So the correct answer for the breakbone fever is the dengue, because of the pain in the joints, in all the possible joints, movable joints. that is caused because of the infection with the dengue pathogen. Next. Which one among the following is not a sexually transmitted disease? Here is a list of diseases. Which of these is not? Naturally C. Because scurvy is a disease which is caused by vitamin C deficiency. That is deficiency C or ascorbic, deficiency of ascorbic acid. Right. So C is the correct option. Syphilis, gonorrhea and hepatitis B are the sexually transmitted diseases. Hepatitis B is just like HIV. Transmission of HIV for AIDS. Next. Which of the following disease can be transmitted from one person to another through tattooing? Tattoos, you know, the people have some name or some picture being engraved on the skin, and that cannot be removed. Which is done by some professional who uses the needles. Now, if those needles are sterilized, it's fine. If those needles are not, then there are chances that the disease may get transmitted if the needle has been used before on an infected person and now it is being used on a healthy person. Then the needle can act as a transmitter of the pathogens from the infected person to the healthy person. Now, is it chikungunya? Chikungunya is a vector disease. It is just like dengue, being transmitted by a vector, by a mosquito. Hepatitis B, HIV, AIDS. Actually, the correct answer is B. Tattooing, because HIV and hepatitis B are transmitted by body fluids, which include blood, lymph, semen. Once this body fluids get transmitted from infected person to the healthy person, irrespective of the quantity, then there are chances. With HIV, it has been realized that by kissing, even the oral kissing does not lead to the transmission of disease, because as the studies have revealed, for a transmission of HIV from an infected person to a healthy person, almost about 10 liters of the saliva has to pass from the infected person to the healthy person. That's when the transmission of the AIDS is possible. Otherwise not. So, for the transmission of HIV and for the hepatitis B, oral kissing is not considered as a danger as yet. Next. Correctly match the infectious agent in list A with the disease caused by them in list B or list 2. Bacterium, fungus, protozoan, virus, and here the name of the disease. Bacterium, which disease caused by bacteria is tuberculosis. Fungus causes ringworm. That is the fungus. Protozoan causes Kala-Azar or leishmaniasis. And virus causes influenza. So, first we have got bacterium causing tuberculosis, that is number 2. Fungus causing ringworm. So, if we look at the option, the 4th is coming out to be the correct one, because protozoan, the leishmania. Causes leishmaniasis. Whose common name is Kala-Azar. Is a protozoan. And virus causes influenza. There are different types of influenza, and one of those influenza is caused by the virus. So the option D is the correct option. Next. Which one of the following pairs of the disease and nature is correctly matched? Which is correct? Scurvy is caused by deficiency of vitamin C. So it is nutritional, right? Malaria is a degenerative disease? No. It does not cause any degeneration of the body organs like leprosy. And hemophilia is a hereditary disease. That's true. So first and 3 are the correct options. Malaria being an infectious disease caused by protozoa, that is Plasmodium. So the correct options comes out to be the B. First and 3rd are correct, while second is mismatched. Next, which one of the following disease is caused by bacteria? Chicken pox? No, it's caused by virus. Poliomyelitis, again virus. Tuberculosis, again virus, bacteria. And influenza, again by the virus. So the tuberculosis is the one that is caused by the bacteria, Mycobacterium. Tuberculosis or tuberculosis. That is the name of the bacteria which causes the tuberculosis after being transmitted from an infected person to the healthy person. Next, which one of the following insects spread Kala Azar? That means these are the diseases, they are diseases which are spread by insects. Insects, mostly mosquitoes. Now, fruit fly is Drosophila. It does not transmit any disease. Sassafly is the one that spreads sleeping sickness. In the mosquitoes, it is female Anopheles. Which spreads malaria. Whereas another mosquito called Aedes aegypti that spreads dengue or chikungunya. So it is sandfly that transmit Kala Azar, that is known for the transmission of Kala Azar from the infected person to the healthy person. Next, which one of the following glands in the human body is enlarged due to the goiter? You must have studied in the case of the endocrine glands or nutritional deficiency diseases. The deficiency of iodine leads to the enlargement of thyroid glands present in the neck. So, the disease goiter and the gland associated with the goiter is none but is the thyroid, and hence D is the correct option. D is the correct option. Next. Which one of the following disease caused by bacteria and spread through facial matter by houseflies? Pernicious, we also call it whooping cough. That means as the person breathes or the child breathes, he makes a loud whooping noise. Typhoid, diphtheria, chicken pox. Now, the statement says through facial matter by the houseflies. Facial matter, that means that will come under the category of the waterborne disease. And among the waterborne disease, we have the typhoid ones. So typhoid is the one that can get easily transmitted by the houseflies that visit your food left uncovered. Next. Contaminated water can cause the following disease except one of the following: hepatitis A, typhoid, measles, cholera. Now, when we look at the contaminated water. Typhoid is a waterborne disease. Cholera is a waterborne disease. Again, hepatitis A also is a sort of a waterborne disease. But when it comes to the measles, measles cannot be transmitted by the water, it being a viral disease. Although hepatitis A is also a viral disease, but can be transmitted. But measles cannot. So, C is the correct option. Next. Which one of the following pair is wrongly matched, incorrectly matched? Pneumonia. Pneumonia is caused by a virus, by a coccus. Coccus is a bacteria. Common cold is caused by rhinovirus. Cholera is caused by Vibrio cholerae, which is a bacteria, not a protozoa. Tuberculosis is caused by bacteria, bacillus. So the C is the one which is incorrectly matched. Where with pneumonia also, as I mentioned, influenza is caused by the virus, where pneumonia is caused by the bacteria. We call it Diplococcus. Pneumoniae. Diplococcus pneumoniae is the name of the bacteria that causes pneumonia. So, C is the correct option, that cholera is caused by bacteria, not by protozoa. Next. Which one of the following types of malaria is called pernicious malaria? Pernicious malaria means deadly malaria or malignant malaria. And this is a malignant malaria. Because pernicious malaria is caused by Plasmodium parum. And this species of Plasmodium not only infect the RBC, red blood cells, leading to the normal anemic conditions, but it also invades into the central nervous system, that is the brain and spinal cord, and causes severe damage, a serious damage to the brain and brain cells and the cells and nerve cells in the spinal cord. So mostly leading to death of the person if the immediate care is not taken off. So pernicious malaria is the malaria and refers to the malignant malaria, disease causing or death causing malaria. Next, virus for bird flu. Bird flu, you might have heard in the newspapers that sometimes because of the bird flu, thousands of birds are being slaughtered because there are chances of the infection of the virus from the birds to the humans. Now, which of these virus was the name of which is this virus? The virus is N9H1. N5H1 is the name of the virus that caused the bird flu. That's a textual part that you need to know. Match correctly the insect vector in the list 1 with the disease transmitted by them in the list 2. That means they have the number of the insects or the vectors, mosquitoes or culex, whose name is given here, and there is the number of the disease that they transmit. Anopheles, female Anopheles spreads malaria. That is number 4. Culex, let's say, sandfly, kala azar, sassafly, sleeping sickness. So this is Culex, the third. Because Syphilis is caused by a worm. If we look at Wucheria, Ponkorofte. or Wucheria malawi. So 4312B is the correct option, because the number B is not very fully satisfied one, but because the rest of the three are matching perfectly, so we take the B to be the correct option. And this question has been done intentionally, has been placed intentionally for you, that sometime because of typographic mistake or because of the checking of your presence of mind, one may not be that directly connected as the other three are. So you have to look into these matching type of questions, the rest of the three, and then the left one comes to be the correct answer. I hope that you understood the question. That's how to answer these questions. Next. Which one of the following diseases are transmitted from one person to another? That is, infected person to the healthy person. That is, these are the infectious diseases. AIDS, yes. Cirrhosis, no, because it's a liver disease caused because of alcoholism. People who drink a lot of alcohol, uncontrolled alcohol as a drug, they suffer from cirrhosis, that is the hardening. Of liver. Liver become very hard and palatable. That means normally we can't see the liver. But in the people suffering from cirrhosis, one can even easily distinguish the position of the liver in a person laying straight. Hepatitis B, yes, it spreads like HIV. Syphilis is again STD. So 1, 3 and 4. 1, 3 and 4 are the diseases which are infectious diseases. The second is not an infectious disease, the cirrhosis. So these are some of the questions that we have discussed and left with some more questions to discuss before we call an end to the health and diseases as a part of practice to the number of the questions that we have done so far. Right?